Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Luca Netz, CEO of Pudgy Penguins, joining us. Luca, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are so pumped. Michael, shout out to Michael for actually setting this one up.
Do you remember we met in VCon? Or is that,
I remember.
Michael's like, do you remember me?
I don't know. Like sometimes you probably met 500 people, 1,000 people that week.
He's too famous for you.
I probably did.
You were sitting right next to D's. Yeah, we were. I don't know if you were, but I was partaking in the whatever he had going on over there.
I was too, but don't tell anyone.
Nah, never. We didn't talk about it in any of the other episodes, so don't worry.
There you go.
That was good times, though. Yeah, glad to have you on, brother.
Man, thanks for having me, and I'm super stoked to talk to you guys today.
No doubt.
Yeah, we're pumped to have you on. We have a ton of questions prepared, but we do want to start this out by asking you what we ask all of our guests, which is how you got into Web3 to begin with.
I got into Web3. Let's run it back. I was just, I had some friends talking about it. I was pretty big into crypto Twitter since 2017. And I was running out of wall space and shelf space because I love to traditionally collect. And my mom actually calls me a hoarder of cool stuff. And I bought my first NFT on Nifty Gateway. And the second I bought it, I got the bug. I was plotting on my digital screens and how I was going to put this in a movie theater. And I can't really explain it to you, but I just naturally knew this is just a better way to collect. Go down the rabbit hole. I start collecting, things from like Ferocious and, some of the other awesome, amazing one-of-one artists. And then OpenSea comes around with PFPs. And this is not a video podcast, but in front of me, there's 6 giant monitors in which, while I was the CMO of Gel Blaster, I was just trading these freaking NFTs like a wild animal. And I just fell in love. I got the bug. So I think it really just stemmed initially from the desire to collect to just what it is today. And this freaking behemoth of a space with so much upside and so much potential. It just needs the right people to build it.
Nice. And then at some point, when did you buy Pudgy Penguins?
I bought Pudgy Penguins in April of last year. So about 15, 16 months ago now.
Oh, wow. All right. So
literally the beginning of the bear market. That's impressive, man. Like that was literally like the moment the bear started. Because it was right
You
after...
started the bear market.
No. What I'm saying is, and the floor was, what was the floor when you bought it?
0.8 or 0.75.
You can keep going, but that's pretty insane. That's something that, with what else has gone on in the space since then, I see a smile on your face. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's funny you bring it up because the actual day we transacted was the top tick of ETH. Like we sent the payment at 30 ETH, and it was down only ever since. And even our worst so we knew coming into this, we'd have to build a real business. Like I just knew NFT royalties weren't sustainable, but I thought they would be able to sustain me until I was able to, make real money, which just product development, naturally to do it right takes 12 months, like build up the right brand. And because there was nothing in Pudgy Penguins. It was really a dope character, but there was no foundation, no nothing. Like I bought assets. I didn't buy a business. And so standing up the business, creating the products, it was hard. We got, I remember our worst forecast. I was like, worst case scenario, this thing makes $50,000 a month and that can cover our burn. In the deep depths of the bear, amongst all those black swan events, I think there was a couple of months that Pudgy Penguins made like 15 grand. I was like, and it came to the point where I was ready to put another $500,000 into funding the business because I was like, I'm not going to, I came in here to win. I'm not going to just and spend this thing just to lose. But it ultimately, we got bailed out a couple times by some big announcements and some big moments, but it was hard. I'm so glad we're on the other side of it, mostly on the other side of it.
So walk me through the thought process when you first bought Pudgy Penguins, because you buy Pudgy Penguins 15 months ago for $2.5 million. And, why did you decide to buy out an existing project instead of starting your own? And why Pudgy Penguins?
Yeah, I saw an early clip early on of Gary Vee saying, like, understand the responsibility of starting an NFT project. This is not something you can do lightly. And if I'm going to be frank, I think the moment for me that really made me take this space seriously is I knew Bored Ape was raising at the valuation that they were raising before they announced it. And I was like, if these guys pull it off, which by every metric they should, right? Every revenue metric, et cetera, like they should be able to pull it off, which they did. Then this is being looked at like a very serious business and a very clear disruptor to technology and collectibles. And so if you put those two markets together and you kind of think of, where we are today, when I knew that raise was going on, I was like, oh my God, this is everything that I thought this could be. And like real capital and real investors are like backing that vision. And so it's not just me like daydreaming at night, during the day or like dreaming at night. There's like something very real going on here. And that ultimately led me to believe that these are real businesses and real brands and real companies. Now, I had no intention to buy an NFT project. I actually tried to buy one of my friend's NFT projects before Pudgy, and he wasn't having it. It was like a whole Twitter fight. It's not a story that many people know. But when that failed, I guess I was just doing my thing. And then by the grace of the universe, one day I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see people bidding on the Pudgy Penguins IP. I think Beanie offered $1 million. And I thought to myself, Pudgy Penguins was my first PFP that I ever bought. I picked a Pudgy Penguin over a Bored Ape and all the others because I thought that Pudgy Penguins had the highest upside. Because if you look at traditional collectibles and IP, Cute has the highest addressable market and I think has the highest room for demand. And because there's such a finite supply of these NFTs on the bottom, the one that's going to create the most demand is going to be the one that has the most people buying the NFT, which ultimately leads to higher price appreciation. That was my thesis when I bought Pudgy Penguins as my first PFP NFT. And I just always saw the vision. So keep in mind, I came from a company called Gel Blaster before this, which I was, their biggest investor and CMO at the time. And that really exposed me to the world of toys and IP and characters. And I was baffled about how many giant IP brands and giant character brands there were that none of us on this call know about, but make billions of dollars. I just couldn't believe it. Like, it's a world that I could name you 5 IPs that are worth billions of dollars that you probably have no familiarity around. And Pudgy Penguins, if you look at it from a traditional perspective, has all of the ingredients that make a traditional IP succeed. Pudgy Penguins had it. Like, it had all of those traditional ingredients. Now, beyond that, it had all of the Web3 and crypto native ingredients that also made, Bored Apes and similar projects succeed. It had a diehard community, a diehard meme culture, whales that you just couldn't buy. Like, there's so many affluent and influential and powerful crypto native people that own Pudgy Penguins. And if I went to go raise $100 million and start an NFT project, like, there's no guarantee that those people buy it. And that's really, really important. And they had also been through all of the chaos and the turmoil that should have really nuked the thing. I mean, the fact that I bought it and it had a 0.75 ETH floor screams volumes. When an NFT community finds out that their founders suck, that there's no future utility, they've all nuked to 0 or 0.1 or nothing, right? Pudgy Penguins had every FUD giant boulder come their way, and it had a 0.75 ETH floor. Like, that was a type of tenacity and resilience that I hadn't seen from any other project. And so you combine all of the ingredients from what does it mean to have a successful traditional IP brand? And then all of the ingredients as to like, what does it mean to have a successful Web3, crypto brand? And Pudgy Penguins had all of those ingredients. And all it needed was somebody just to cook them, the right chef at the helm of the kitchen. And so ultimately, I offered them $2.5 million, expecting that we would negotiate, but they didn't. I was willing to spend a lot more on it, and they accepted it, and the rest is history.
Wow. A pretty crazy story. I mean, that says it all. I actually want to go back a little bit further with you because I've heard a handful of your interviews now, and I'm always impressed, and especially kind of your startup story. Like, I know you started with Ring Doorbell when they had about 20 people, and you watched it grow to 2,000 people. Can you tell us about that a little bit, what you learned? And then I want to get even into Von Deutsch because I've heard you say some things about that that's really interesting. But what did you learn from Ring and watching it grow like that?
Yeah, that was a crazy one because I dropped out of high school. I basically wanted to get a business degree, and I was a good student, and I got 3 Bs that were like 88s and 89s. And my mom was really struggling to pay the bills at this point. I had just turned 16. And I said, well, I want to be a businessman, but I have to go into debt to get my business degree. The likelihood of me getting a scholarship is slim. But a businessman wouldn't go into debt to get a business degree. It seems very counterintuitive to what a good businessman would do. So I said, well, I got to leave. I got to go join the workforce. I printed 100 resumes, and I went up and down Fairfax and Melrose and handed them out. I wanted to get a job at a streetwear brand. No luck. I take my behind to Tech Row in Santa Monica. I start handing them out. No luck. It was actually the second to last door that I went to was the most rinky-dink, shitty office in Tech Row, which for people who know the Ring office in Santa Monica knows what I'm talking about. It was a shack. And I walk in and I give my resume to somebody, and a couple of days later, they say, hey, you got a job. We need somebody to help pack boxes. I said, great, I could pack a good box. I actually was the first person there. I actually opened up the Ring offices every morning, or at least my section of the office. I decided to wake up at 5:30, get on the bus at 6 a.m., and I was there at 6:30, 6:45, opening it up for the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. group. And I was listening to a bunch of really awesome speeches from Harvard alum, Stanford alum, trying to get my education, packing boxes. And the way the Ring setup was, I would pack boxes on the lower floor, and all the engineers above me would like watch me. And they started to take a lot of likings to me. So Nolan, the lead engineer, started really taking a liking to me. And then I moved up to RMA, which was like diagnosing problems with the product. So he kind of pulled me out, saw me, I was a hustler, pulled me out, put me into RMA. And I shit you not, I heard and saw everything, actually, believe it or not. As crazy it is, as a person who's packing boxes, I saw Jamie had a room where he would punch multiple holes in walls. There was like a hole, like a bunch. And these guys, whether it was through directly or not, you always heard through the grapevine, just because working in an office is how it is. Everyone knows everything, especially such a small environment. These guys should have gone under like 3 times. They grew so fast. What I learned, I didn't really have the wherewithal to really digest. Like, if I was there now, I would have just totally absorbed like a sponge. What I think Ring really did for me was give me the desire and motivation to build a big company. I think prior to that, I had always wanted to make money. I wanted to be rich. That was my goal. I was like, I need to be rich. I'm poor. I need to be rich. So let's figure it out. And then when I left Ring, I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be a CEO. Like I saw what he did. I saw the trials and tribulations and just him coming out on top of it all. I was like, dude, I want to be you one day. And that ultimately led me to starting my own business, which was selling jewelry online. And then since you brought up Von Deutsch, we can get into that. I was really successful. I sold that business when I was 19. Kind of became a self-made millionaire at that moment. So a huge fluctuation in a matter of 18 months from when I started my business to when I sold it. And then I started my next company, which was monetizing social influence. Influencers had millions of followers, but they were broke. So I was like, let me build product brands around you In hindsight, it was like the very early versions of like what Mr. Beast is doing, except I was 19, 20, and I didn't have the experience to really stand it up the way that it should have, but I was like totally ahead of that curve. The business was a cash cow business. When we went to go sell it, it had no brand equity because I basically was just a manufacturer and babysitter. You know, if an influencer didn't promote that month, we'd make no money. If they did, we'd make $5 million, like crazy swings of revenue. And so that business ultimately led me to Von Dutch, which I walk into the flagship store on Melrose one day during like the whole Chrome Hearts hype. And I was like, you guys must be crushing it because like I see everyone wearing your stuff because like Chrome Hearts, you guys are like the next Chrome Hearts. He was like, we're making nothing. And I was like, what? And he was like, we're making nothing. So I worked out what felt like the deal of a lifetime. I basically did like a gross revenue deal. And I said, anything above X amount of money every month, I want a percentage of. They took it because they weren't making anything. So what I promised them was like to the moon. And by the time I left, they were making millions a month. And I was like, so this was the great comeback, the Von Dutch comeback in 2020. Your like favorite rapper or celebrity was definitely rocking it. And that was all my doing. And that to me was the real moment where I was like, holy shit, I have a playbook and I have a superpower. Because if I owned Von Dutch, I would have been set for life. Like what I did there, took it from basically going under to like, hey, this company now is easily worth $100 billion. Like, based on this turnaround and based on these revenue numbers, that like I created that. There was no other cook in the kitchen. There was no other X factor anomaly. Like it was solely me. And then I was like, well, I actually got a pretty good playbook. Got into Gel Blaster, replicated the playbook, and I was like, oh shit. Now, so Gel Blaster does 9 figures a year. So like it's a $100 million plus a year business and revenue. So I was like, fuck, the playbook is now 2 for 2. And my experience with Von Dutch ultimately gave me the confidence to buy Pudgy penguins because I'm not necessarily an inventor or a creator of things. I'm a pusher of things. Like I know how to make things go and to create awareness around it. And so the experience with Von Dutch, backing it up with Gel Blaster, ultimately gave me the confidence to buy Pudgy penguins because I was like, this is no different than Gel Blaster and no different than Von Dutch. It turned out to be a lot different, but the thought process prior was like, this is no different. I just do I activate what I call the playbook and then just rinse and repeat. And so far, so good. The playbook's definitely in full effect.
What can you tell us about the playbook?
The playbook is too proprietary. I can't share it.
Oh, where did you learn your recipe for the playbook? Like what kind of helped you formulate that?
It was the influencer monetization business because I was living with, so I was this young 19-year-old, 20-year-old making all of these influencers rich, taking them from poor to rich. So like I had this, that was like my career maker. And being with them, influencers are just elite marketers. They're just like elite, the most elite. They leverage their personal brand to do it, but like content and marketing, like how they frame it, it's really just like a marketing masterclass if you know what you're doing. And I lived with that too. So like I lived in the homes of some of the biggest influencers on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube at the time. And so it's just like digesting all of that information for 2 to 3 years, split testing on our own stores with different strategies, right? Like leveraging, certain audiences. You kind of, when I got into Von Dutch, I would reference like, okay, let's do this because I remember we did this Jake Paul brand and we did this. You know what I mean? Oh, let's do this because I remember Supreme Patty did it a lot. And like, let's do this, right? And so you take all of these like little like things that really worked with these influencer stores, then you apply it to a brand and it works the same. And I'm like, oh shit. And then so you take the best of it and you kind of like, there's a chronological order to how you activate it. You just put it like I have it in my mind, like exactly step 1 through 20. And based on, certain milestones, you just activate certain parts of the playbook.
Very interesting. And also you have 2 YouTube channels that I saw, the Igloo Company, which is kind of like the Pudgy Penguins YouTube channel, and then Building in Public, which totally reminds me of, I don't know if you watched like the Nelk Boys or anything, but okay, you do. So MTV Jesse, you know how he split from the Nelk Boys and he kind of started his YouTube channel Sunday, where he's literally just building in public. Like it very much reminds me of that. It's just a really good, it's kind of like just a great YouTube plus it also has like a little bit of reality TV component because you have people like talking to the camera. Like, wow, this is really high quality for not even that many people watching it. Like, you guys are just, building in public and just kind of doing things that you think will be good. What was like the inspiration behind, I guess, that YouTube channel?
So it's kind of ironic because during Gel Blaster, I was at the Full Send office every day. And so Jesse's actually
really? Oh my gosh, so funny. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so like the early Full Send or on this channel, like I'm in a lot of those videos, and I actually learned a lot from him as well. That actually, the idea for that really came from, hey, Web3 wanting transparency. Like you kept on hearing, Web3 users screaming for transparency. So me, I want to be number one. I'm going to be number one. So what are the paths to get there? Like give the people what they want. The Web3 people clearly want transparency. Okay, well, if that's what you want, then I'm going to try to give that to you to the best of my ability. How about we just throw a camera? I've been with these influencers since day one. I know how these videos were made. Let's just do our version of that and give them that transparency. So, every month, like I'm not twiddling my fingers. Like I'm working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Let me try to document this to the best of our ability to like give you some trust, to build trust and confidence and transparency around what we're doing and give you a little bit of that behind the scenes look. And that was kind of the logic and the thought process behind it. It actually wasn't, I actually probably could have thought of it earlier if I was thinking of my times, but I just kept on seeing on the Twitter feed, we want transparency. So I'm like, all right, you want transparency? Like, no more transparent than a vlog recapping the month with some behind the scenes videos in between.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like the quality of it too is insane, which makes me wonder, like, how many people are on your guys' team? Like, how many people are working with you guys at Pudgy Penguins?
We're like 30 now.
Damn.
So we're pretty deep. Some of them are part-time. I'd probably say like 25 people full-time. We're probably going to get rid of a couple people just to kind of create that urgency and just be like, hey, like, but other than that, 25 full-time people, 30 in total, including part-time. And yeah, we've definitely got a good little unit going.
There's going to be some people that listen to that and be like, uh-oh, better
They're
start
like,
working
no, my
harder.
job's in jeopardy.
Yeah, better start putting some work in. That's all right. I like that. Gotta.
Yeah, you need a sense of urgency, like, Okay, I'll ask another question, then I'll pass it back to Michael here. But so in the background, I have my Pudgy Penguin figurine, and you guys just went so hard, so fast. I feel like, which is obviously part of your strategy, and I just feel like you guys are everywhere. I mean, first of all, you could buy Pudgy Penguin figurines and plushies on Amazon, which is amazing. Actually, just today, my one of my coworkers, it's his birthday today, and he has a Pudgy Penguin. That's like who he's had representing him. Like that's his PFP for like over a year now. And I just ordered a Pudgy Penguin figurine for him. But anyway, so yeah, Amazon. I mean, that's insane that you guys are on Amazon. You guys are everywhere. I just saw a post on Twitter of someone saying like, taking a picture of a Pudgy Penguin plushie on the shelf, and they're like, I can't believe I'm seeing a physical NFT, product in a third world country, like on a shelf. This is insane. How did you get into like all the stores and Amazon? Like how did that happen?
So it's interesting because over the next 6 months, you guys will probably want to do another interview because the stores that are going to stock Pudgy Penguins, I think, are going to shake up the entire space. I think nobody knows what's coming, especially over the next couple of months. And so what you see now is nothing to what you'll see, 3 to 4 months from now. And so that I'm really excited. We have a lot of good partners. Like, again, I built my career on working smarter, not harder, even though now I'm working really smart and really hard. I put people in position to help us. And so Retail Monster is a partner of ours. They have, over $50 billion in, sales across companies that they've partnered with. They're just get you in the door wherever you need to go. PMI, our master toy partner, the same. Keep in mind, Gel Blasters in every Walmart, Best Buy, Costco, and Target nationwide. So a lot of these people, I like, this is this is where experience, I guess, matters. Is I come from this world, consumer products. So a lot of it is, when you have big wins like Gel Blaster, people take you for your word. And if I tell them there's going to be another big win, they're going to do it. And so, I want to make sure that Pudgy Penguins are everywhere. But I do want to limit the supply. Supply is really important, making sure that there's collectible features, swapping out SKUs. There's a lot of lift to this, more than I think people can imagine. But it's, I guess, a lot of good relationships, a lot of good partners, a lot of hustle, a lot of grit and tenacity. And if I want something, I'm going to get it. So if I want a retailer, if I want to be in a certain country, best believe that I'm going to make it happen. And I think all of those things considered, I think ultimately led us to where we are today. But you've seen nothing yet, because we're definitely in a lot of specialty retailers, a lot of, probably big retailers internationally. But over the next 6 months, I have a number. It's too much alpha, but we're going to be in thousands of retail stores internationally and domestically, and in some of the biggest names in the world. So I'm really excited for that moment.
Sheesh, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm excited to see your guys' journey. You definitely have that entrepreneur, I used to go to a ton of entrepreneur events, and you just remind me of that ultimate entrepreneur, super, super motivated, just want to just go hard, go all the way, do the most. But Michael, all right, I'll give it back to you.
Cool. That's all awesome stuff. I think I heard you say, I listened to your interview on Coffee with Captain. It was very good. But I think I heard you say, and I might have got it wrong, that the Pudgy Penguins and the Lil Pudgies will basically have the same utility. Just one is the OG collectible. Did I hear that right? Or can you kind of explain what your vision for the ecosystem is with the two collections?
Yeah, I think Pudgy Penguins is our North Star. It's our first edition. It's, any main character will always be a Pudgy Penguin, but there's subordinate characters, and there's, Little Pudgies, I think, also target a younger audience. I'm actually, we're kind of doing a little bit of a restructure internally. We want Pudgy Penguins to be just a little bit more mature, and then Little Pudgies be a little bit less mature. And so we can kind of I don't want to neglect the older audience. And there's a lot of kid adults that are buying our products, and I want to just curate the brand a little more deeply. But from a utility perspective, they're like our mutant apes. Little Pudgies are very much like our mutant apes. There are, little bro or helper to your big Pudgy. They're important. They get you into our events. They get you licensing opportunities. But they will always be more skewed for the big Pudgy. If I have an event and it's holders only, then let's say there's 1,000 people, 700 people or 750 slots will be available to big Pudgies, 250 to little Pudgies. If I do licensing, and I'm licensing 10 characters, 7 of them will be big Pudgies, 3 of them will be little Pudgies. And so there has to be that hierarchy. And at the end of the day, big Pudgies will always be the face. But I see a world where little Pudgies really attract and excite that younger demographic. And I think eventually, if you get into what does it look like to make products for the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old and the 5-year-olds? Because right now I think our plush can be any age, but there's certain products that I think bode younger, and I think little Pudgies will ultimately be that, and big Pudgies will be if you're the big brother, if you're the father, if you're the mother, you're the big Pudgy, you know what I mean? And then the little one is your little guy, right? And so that's kind of how we're looking at it. And I try to make it as fair as possible without neglecting and segmenting certain audiences.
That makes sense. Have you considered purchasing any other IP in the Web3 space? Maybe something that a founder's abandoned? And secondly, I'd like to know the one you tried to buy that you mentioned that was a Twitter war that people don't know the story, if you want to shout that one out. But I'd love to know your thought on future.
Yeah, it was my friend's project called Spooky Boys. I was it's a super deep story, but I tried to buy it.
Yeah.
And what was the other question? Sorry.
That's okay. Would you consider, do you have any kind of on your wish list of what you may purchase in the future to add to the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think, the way the Pudgy world shakes out is they lived on Antarctica, we'll call it. And then a piece of that broke out ultimately to the Berg. And the Berg, they were trying to get back home, and the Berg, floats around the world in hopes of being reconnected to the promised land or to their homeland. And as they travel, different characters wash ashore. It leaves room for new characters to kind of incorporate. I know who I would buy next if I were to buy it. but I'm not going to say because it's a really small collection. And so it's too much of a movement if I were to do it.
Well, you could say it now. We're not going to come out for a couple days.
No. I can't.
No, I'm just kidding.
But it's, I have an understanding, but it's like, I can't build like the Igloo company as a take on the Walt Disney Company, right? Like the more IPs will come, but I can't make that until like Pudgy Penguins is my Mickey, right? I can't even think of new characters until like Mickey is established. Like Mickey is the man. Mickey is the guy. Everyone knows Mickey. The holders are so happy, and you know everything that they possibly could have dreamed of has come to fruition. Like I have to accomplish what's right in front of me before I go somewhere else.
Before Donald shows up.
Yeah, but I have an idea, and I know where I would go.
Okay. Cool. I foresee that happening for sure. I foresee that happening. I love it. Yeah. Cool. You got any, Jenny, or should I ask a couple more?
Okay, so something that you tweeted in March and then you recently retweeted, I'm kind of curious about, is you tweeted Project Overpass, which people are like speculating, like, what does that mean? Like, everyone's trying to figure it out. And I'm just curious if you have any alpha for us as to what that means.
Yeah, Project Overpass is a product we've been working on for a long time. And it's really a gift from us to the Web3 space. And it ultimately solves our biggest problem internally. To give you some insight, it's common knowledge in the community and it's not too far away. So I might as well tell you along the lines of what it is. It's basically an IP rights marketplace where I, as a project founder, can pay hundreds of holders through a couple clicks of a button for an upfront payment for the right to use their penguin in an asset. And so why does that matter? Well, I have to go build a real business. I have to go do this because I have to make real revenue and I have to be sustainable, and I can't be forced to be put in a position where I have to mint more NFTs to fund the company. Why that matters? Because supply and demand is very real. The less supply I have in my digital ecosystem and the more demand that I create, the more they'll appreciate in price. And I want to have digital collectibles that are worth a lot of money. I want that for our holders, for our collectors. I want that for our ecosystem because I think it leaves a lot of room for growth and opportunity. Beyond that, I need to create this revenue stream to be able to, or I need to create these products to be able to create a deeper emotional attachment to the underlying asset. Like it's unequivocal, it's necessary, it needs to happen. You know, right now, digital collectibles, I don't think are in a place where people get emotionally attached the same way that a physical product can kind of do that. And it's really just about creating touch points from now until then. And so you have to create a sustainable revenue stream. You have to create a product that has a deeper emotional attachment. And you ultimately have to be independent of macro variables screwing you, i.e. Ethereum price dropping 90% or royalties being removed from that. However, when I go make a business that makes $200, $300, $400 million a year, how does that benefit the holders? That's what the holders asked me. And I thought to myself, well, you're right. Other than the obvious, which I just broke down to you, sustainability, supply and demand, all of the ingredients that I think are necessary for an NFT project to succeed, how can I take this a little deeper? How can I democratize IP and make this for the people, by the people? And what does that mean? Like, to understand the NFT user, you have to understand what they really want. And what they want is they want their collectible to appreciate in value, or they want more collectibles that are worth of value. That's kind of been the grooming of the NFT space up until this point. You know, the top projects, Yuga is a perfect example, has kind of set the standard. Like every person who's owned a Bored Ape has gotten $1 million in free stuff that they've given their Bored Apes. That's what people want, right? That anchor has been set. But creating things out of thin air like tokens and NFTs and just dropping it in people's wallets is a really lazy and lame solution to monetary value accrual. It's just lame, right? And it's also not sustainable. Think about if I were to airdrop people in a bear market more NFTs, that's only going to sink the whole ship. That's only going to make all the NFTs less valuable. So in reality, that monetary gain that the user wants, they really don't want it because it's going to screw the whole thing. I mean, they might want it for a short-term trade, but I'm not optimizing for short-term traders. I'm optimizing for believers. And believers, though they want monetary gain in their heart and soul, how do you actually share that value and that success? How do they kind of intertwine? And to me, the solution has been licensing, right? If I build a $300 million a year toy business, I need to make more characters. I need to make more content. I need to make more stickers. I need to make more everything, right? And when I make those products, rather than making and drawing my own Pudgy Penguin, I can just go to one of the holders and say, hey, you own your NFT. That is your character that I extended a license that you can now monetize using that character. I want to pay you $500 for the right to use your penguin in a billboard for our advertisement. Or I want to pay you $10,000 to turn your penguin into a figure. Or I want to pay you, $1,000 to turn your penguin into a GIF, and it gets us billions or tens of millions of views. Because when I make $300 million a year, right? Like through the toys and through this product, through leveraging the community's helping me make this money, I'm returning that value and saying, hey, rather than just, me absorbing everything and taking everything, I'm going to share in the success. And how I can share in that success is through licensing. The problem was, as we did this, we were the first projects to do this, like major projects to do this. We licensed our toy line for PMI. So all the toy that's behind you right now is actually an NFT that lives on the blockchain. And every time one of those sells, that person makes money in perpetuity, right? So they get a royalty payment for that. But the issue with that whole process was it took me a month and a half to sign 16 people. And it was a huge lift and a huge pain in the ass. And it costs a lot of money. And so I was like, this is a really big problem. And if my vision ultimately has to succeed, there has to be a Web3 way to license IP. And so Project Overpass was conceptualized by our amazing CTO. His name is Lorenzo. Basically set up a presentation, and it was like aha moment. It was like, this solves the biggest problem. Because the truth of the matter is any NFT project that's a PFP, that's a character, has to be making content on socials to grow their brand, has to be making merchandise to create sustainability, right? They have to do these things. But when they do it, they don't need to neglect their core audience when they do it. They can actually share the value. Now, does it mean I can give holders 50% of sales on toys? Of course not. That's fiscally irresponsible. The business is going to die. But right now in Web3, when other brands that are not Pudgy Penguins in Web3 make collectibles, no one gets paid for it. There's no democratization of IP. There's no sharing in that growth in this product making. There's no community brand building. It's literally me saying, hey, I'm big brand. I make all this money. I'm going to sell you some more collectibles and some more figures. Pay me $300 for it, right? That's not the Web3 way. So we had to build a platform where with a couple clicks of a button, a brand, a user, an NFT company can go to their holder base and basically say, we want to bring this value back to you. And so in the beginning, it's only going to be available to Pudgy Penguins, just because I want to make sure that, we get that value. But then eventually I'll open it up to all the communities, and I'll just take a percentage on the transaction. Basically be like, hey, I'm saving you thousands of dollars of legal fees and a huge headache and time and effort. And I'm honestly giving you a value proposition that you really need for your community. And that's Project Overpass. And I think that, to me, is going to be one of the great moments in NFTs in terms of what an NFT project has done for the space. Because I can't point to 3 bigger tools that an NFT project has shipped for the greater good of the community. The only thing that I think that comes up to par is like 721A from Azuki. And this is like on par with that. It's its own protocol. It's its own infrastructure. It's like a really deep, you basically DocuSign documents on chain. It's really fucking badass. I think people are going to be really surprised and happy with that product shipment. And that's probably our next big rollout coming pretty soon is Project Overpass.
Wow.
That's huge. That's very exciting. And thank you for sharing that with us. I know that, maybe you share more than you wanted to. I don't know, but hey, NFT Catcher Pod exclusive. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that comes to mind, I guess, which I don't know, it's not really the same thing at all, but board jobs, like, have you heard of that? Yep. Yeah. They kind of just like, okay, if there's any jobs where, you can license your Bored Ape out, then they'll just tweet it out and it's on their site and stuff. But this is very exciting. I'm excited. Now I wish I was a Pudgy Penguin holder, but that's okay. Maybe I'll get a little Pudgy Maybe I can afford
Gotta
one.
get a little Pudgy.
We'll see. Yeah. What's the floor
what's
price?
the floor in the littles? Yeah, let's take a look.
I think 0.4.
That could be a deal right
Okay.
there.
Yeah, it's affordable. Michael, do you want to ask anything?
Going through your guys' Twitter, somebody posted something. There were guys walking through somewhere in Asia, and it said like Pudgy's Asia, and you guys are proud to. What are some of the most important markets over there for you, and what do you guys do to foster those markets?
Yeah, Asia is so important for us, and it's so important because they love the penguin. They love the Pudgy penguin, and I have no experience in Asia.
And they love the 888 number too, and you guys are 8888, right?
We're perfectly positioned for culture. It's one that I try to nurture to the best of my ability. I need to do a better job. Our team needs to do a better job. But it's a place that when Pudgy Penguins ultimately becomes a multi-billion-dollar brand, a huge part of it will be because of Asia. They like, again, I'm just not native to it. And so I haven't even dominated North America. The problem is I haven't dominated what's right in front of me, what I know I can dominate. And so like, until I do that, I'm always like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But we did a stand-up, we did a stand-up on Friday. And I told our C-level group, like, this is, whatever the plan is, we need a better plan. Because we need to do a better job here. Thankfully, our Pudgy Asia community is like so badass. Like they're just such a badass group of people. I can't wait to go over there and just get them dinner, breakfast, and lunch as many times as I can, because they just take initiative. The culture there is so fascinating. And I have so much respect for the Asian culture because they just get shit done and they just do. And they're like, dude, like they take matters into their own hands. And that's just the vibe that I get from the Pudgy Asia community. A lot of what you're seeing is self-induced. Like they did it all. Like there isn't much that we've done there other than like, hire a couple people, set up the infrastructure, spend money where we can and where we can afford to. But nurturing that is a huge priority for us. I think we need to do a better job on it moving forward. But it's the biggest region outside of North America for us. And I ultimately think our parabolic success is going to come from the East, not the West.
Where particularly? Where do you see? Where's a lot of your community?
Our two hot spots right now are Singapore and Hong Kong, but Malaysia and Thailand are growing like crazy. I can't even believe what's going on in Malaysia and Thailand. So it seems to be the places that have like English speaking familiarity that seem to be. So like Hong Kong, very English. Singapore speaks a lot of English. Malaysia and Thailand, don't know, but it seems like they speak a lot of English, right? Based on the interaction with the community members that I found. And so that seems to be like, obviously, like I can't go and create amazing taglines in foreign languages. I don't know how, like it's just like automatic discrepancy. So I would probably tackle the Eastern markets that have the best speaking English user base, probably be my first approach.
Now, I was expecting to hear like Seoul, Korea, because I know they're one of the most advanced cities, one of the most technologically advanced cities. But,
so Seoul and Japan, Seoul and Tokyo would be like your first natural gravity.
Right.
But it's so competitive that I almost don't even want to go there because like you can't even believe the IPs that are in Japan. I mean, I'm competing against the best of the best and they spend all of their money there. Right. So like, let me go to the places where like IP isn't dominating and let me go dominate it that have like the English speakers. But in principle, you're right. But if you peel back the layers, it'd be more advantageous for me to go to like a Singapore and Hong Kong first, than try to bring those sales of that wind to Japan and Seoul with some leverage,
No doubt. Yep.
Okay, I got one more question before we go into our rapid fire segment, Gas Wars. I'm kind of curious if you guys keep in contact with Cole Ethereum at all.
Not as much, not that much, but he texts me here and there. I respond. We chit and chat. He tells me he likes things. He tells me he doesn't. I appreciate his opinion. He's very honest. Always somebody I respect. I respect him as a collector. He's like a really good NFT.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like we'll sleep on that side of him. Like Cole knows how to buy NFTs. And so I just respect his opinion. I mean, I can't even call my mom every week. So like for me to keep it like a deep relationship with Cole is like is asking a lot.
Right.
But anytime he hits me up, I respond.
Okay, cool. All right, Michael, are you ready to go into the gas wars, or do you have any?
Nah, I
Okay.
think I am ready.
All right, so Luca, basically, we're each gonna ask 5 quick rapid fire questions to kind of, I don't know, just spice it up and end the show. So I'll let Michael go first.
Okay. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Snails.
There.
Okay. Ty Lopez says there's 4 M's of motivation. My question to you is, what are you most motivated by out of these 4? Material/money, mating, mastery, or momentum?
Mastery.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Ooh, that's a good one.
My favorite one that I like, my imagination likes, or my favorite one that I think is real?
However you like to answer.
Oh, well, the second.
The second one, whatever
was-
you think. Okay, Jenny's right.
The one that I think is real is there is definitely everything that we see, I think, is like completely. I was totally against this, but what I've been seeing lately, there's totally puppet masters behind the whole thing, like running the whole show that you don't even know. Like
I believe that one too.
I was totally against that. I was like, no way, president show, president. No, I totally don't believe it anymore. After seeing the whole Biden thing, I'm just like, dude, there's no way he's making any decisions. We're not going to get political. But it just opened my eyes. There's something deeper behind the scenes that we're not familiar with.
The whole shadow government of people running the show.
Has to be.
Yeah, the bureaucracy, the military industrial complex, the whole. Yeah, I hear you, brother.
Okay, I guess this is a much different question, but if you had to sing karaoke right now, which song would you pick?
Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Nice.
Classic.
What movie or TV series do you believe has influenced your life the most?
Naruto.
Damn, he's got these questions a lot. Sometimes they're just like,
I know,
like,
yeah,
and we're like, oh shit, like we asked too much of a hard question.
I don't know what
everything in
Naruto
your
is though.
mind.
Why am I sleeping? I don't know what Naruto is.
Is that anime?
Yeah, it's anime. It's like I'm Naruto Uzumaki. For anybody listening, that's my life. I'm Naruto Uzumaki.
Nice. All right. Something to look up.
Do you have any routines you use to improve your energy and focus?
Sleep early, wake up early.
What time do you go to bed?
I used to go to bed at 8 p.m.
Whoa! Oh my!
Not anymore. Now I'm up until 2, 3 a.m. So that's what I would do to keep my energy and my focus. Not to say that now I'm just pulling into the deep reservoirs of my tank.
All right. Punks or apes?
Punks. And I have a lot more apes than I do punks, but punks is the one thing that will stand the test of time no matter what.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I hear that.
What's one of your pet peeves?
Compliments. I hate when people compliment me.
Really? You don't take compliments well?
Hate it.
Really? That's crazy.
All right.
We're not going to compliment you then.
Yeah. If you could time travel to any period in history, when would you travel to?
Wild West.
Wild West. Nice.
All right. I think this is number 5, right?
Yep. This is the last one.
Okay. That's the last one. Okay. What is the most used emoji on your phone right now?
Fire emoji.
Okay. Cool. Well, Luca, thank you so much for joining us here on the NFT Catcher podcast. We appreciate you.
One second. This is actually a really terrible interview. Luca didn't really share anything.
This one sucked, honestly. So bad.
He doesn't like to be complimented. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That's what
damn,
I'm trying
I was actually about to compliment, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, true. Yeah, never mind.
That's why I cut you off.
Yeah, this wasn't like an above average.
I don't even know if we're going to put it out, honestly. We might have to scrap this one because this was not very good.
But he didn't say that he likes.
No, he doesn't like to be berated. Okay. Excuse me.
Okay, so yeah.
Anyway. It was very fun, man. I'm always impressed hearing you chat, hearing you talk, telling your story, and your passion and your knowledge. And I believe you're a young guy, it seems, compared to me at least. And it's very impressive. And I can't wait to watch the story unfold. I think you're going to accomplish all the things you say you're going to.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jennifer. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys today, and thank you for your time. Sorry for being late.
Nah.
You're good. All right. With that said, thank you all for tuning in. and we will catch you in the next episode. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.